No man is more professional than I. I am a 1% man. I am not above or below any man. I'm training my mind. I'm building my body. I'm connecting to my soul. I'm investing my money. Welcome to the 1% Man Podcast. Let's go. Computer. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the 1% Man Podcast. I got my boy Christian here with me, Smutherman. Christian Smutherman. Christian, say what's up to the people.
Hey, what's going on, y'all, man? I'm really privileged to be here. Looking forward to talking to my homie Bertrand and jumping in, man. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Oh, me too as well. You know what? Me and Christian had a whole episode that we should have hit record on because it was so good. It was just so good. It was just amazing. But I think the one thing I'll say this is that when you're in search for whether it's a connection, a relationship, money, or whatever it is, and you're open and you're abundant, whether you believe in God, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, when you are searching for that and you're wholeheartedly seeking that will come to you. And I say that because as I think I was telling you, it's like, man, I was looking for more men that were on the same path as me, that were driven, that had a business, that understood. And then me and Christian, like, we clicked on so many topics when we talked, and I was just like, damn, like, yeah, I feel like I know this dude almost my whole life. Straight up. But we just knew each other for like 48 hours?
A couple days, yeah.
It's crazy. But Christian, before we get started and we dive deeper into who you are and what you do, I want to ask you a couple questions so that way the guests can get to know you better, right? What's your favorite color?
It's a good question, man. I'd say my favorite color, hands down, is black. But yes. I've got a secondary favorite color, which is green, emerald green to be exact.
Okay, why the emerald green and why the black? I want to know the emerald green first, though.
Yeah, so, it's funny. There was one of my coworkers once told me, she was like, I don't know what it is about you, but she's like a synesthete. And she's like, when I look at you, I just see this green energy around you, and I thought that was so deep because I've always been attracted to the color green. Maybe it's because I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset, whether that's trying to get after the money. I've been like that since I was a little kid, but there's just something about green that just speaks vitality, that speaks growth, energy, evolution. And I've always been attracted to it.
Got you. I love that. Now, why black?
I don't know what it is about black, but, there's a lighter side to me and a darker side to me. And the black, I think, sort of is an emblem of that shadow state. I think that as a creative, I've always been drawn to, sort of the darker side of science fiction or dystopia, the sort of Sith Lord kind of energy, never was an emo kid or anything like that, but just that color black and black outfits, all black, was always something that just really stuck out to me.
Dope. I was going to say, if I was in Star Wars, I would definitely be a Sith Lord. I would not be a Jedi.
I probably will be too, to be
I'm
real.
just saying, I love it so much better.
Yeah.
Christian, what is one value you have as a man that you hold that you would share with other men as well, and you wish they held it as well?
Man, self-respect and self-love is cliche as that may sound. I think it's really important for men to understand their worth and their value at a universal level. And also at a deeply personal level. I've gone on a personal spiritual journey over the last couple of years where I've just really gotten in tune with myself, understanding myself on a mental, physical, spiritual, and creative level. And when you have that self-knowledge, what comes out of that is self-respect and self-love. So I would say those things are very important for any man to have.
Damn, I love that. What is one experience you've had either this year or in your lifetime that you wish you could share with other men as well?
Yeah, man, that's a tough one, man. So I can share something from last year, actually.
Okay.
If that's cool.
Yeah.
So I had a traumatic experience last year on Father's Day. I was out with some friends, and what ended up happening was we were going from bar to bar. It was pretty late at night, around 2 a.m. I got separated from them. And long story short, I got in an altercation with a guy. I was a little tipsy. I'm sure he was too. But it turned into a situation where 10 of his friends, whether they're in a gang or whatever, that's to be explored. But I ended up getting jumped by 10 people. They ended up pretty much severely damaging my shoulder, the back of my head, my ear. I got robbed. And I woke up, just completely messed up. And with one of my friends who actually had come to support me, who come to defend me, he was in a pool of blood. And, we ended up getting rushed to the hospital. I was with him in the ER for damn near 8 hours. And it was a crazy time, man. And after that, I was pretty much in a sling for about 2 months. It was difficult for me to move, get out of bed. And I started feeling really depressed because I had been on this upward trajectory to end up in this situation where I got cut down, and I found myself in a place where I had to make a decision. Either I'm going to continue to lay here in this bed feeling sorry for myself, or I'm going to take my life in my own hands and do something with it and start working on myself and bettering myself and recovering from my injuries. And so I chose the latter. I chose to work on myself. And it took me a very long time to get back to full health. But that process of making that decision, every day I would wake up and even on my injured shoulder, I'd do push-ups and I'd work out and I would rehabilitate myself because I didn't have insurance at the time. I had jumped into entrepreneurship, left my job. And that process, man, it built a fire in me and it built a resiliency and a resolve in me to know that I can get through anything. I can break bones. I can almost lose my life. I can live without a phone, without money, and still be able to survive. And, I think as men, right, we have to know that we're capable of survival. We have to know that we're capable of taking life's challenges head on. And we have to know that even when we're put in a situation that seems like it's impossible to overcome, there's something deeply powerful within all of us that will empower us to overcome it if we look for it and if we allow that to rise up and unlock itself. And for me, I feel like I found that, and it's really put me on a path of self-improvement, progress, discovery, and really just having faith in myself and in my own power.
Yes. So how do you, on the journey that you're on now, and that you're on this upward trajectory now, and you're back, how do you keep yourself going? I think a lot of times we get on the journey, we're going, then we have a minor setback or we have a major setback like you did, and then we have to come back, right? But even when you're on that journey, how do you keep yourself, inspired to keep going up, to keep reaching new heights? When you reach a height, how do you keep inspired to reach new heights? What do you do?
Yeah, for me, I think it's sort of a mental orientation and a spiritual orientation. And so I see progress as an infinite process. It's something that is never complete. We're always in a process of evolution and becoming a better version of ourselves. And so for me, I've gotten to a point where mentally and spiritually, I'm not satisfied with just reaching a goal. My purpose is to improve forever, right? As long as I'm here on earth, my goal is to improve myself. And so the engine that drives me each and every day is just having my eyes on that process of improvement and knowing that, and this isn't my idea. I got it from somewhere and I don't know where I got it from. And it's crazy that I'm about to say this because of everything you talk about with being a 1% man is if you have a focus of being 1% better every day, 1% better every day, you are going to improve each and every day. You don't have to be perfect day one, but if you focus on just being 1% better every day, you're going to look back years after applying that and be like, wow, I'm 1,000, 2,000, 3,000% better than I was, 3 years ago. And so for me, it's just having my eye on the prize, really being focused on continuous improvement and knowing that it's all about the journey. That's what it's about. It's not necessarily about achieving a specific goal as it is. Those goals are just benchmarks along your journey to infinite perfection in the eyes of God or the universe, however you see it.
I love that you said that it's a journey and it's not the destination. I
Yeah.
think so many times we get so caught up on like, I got to reach this point. I got to reach this
Yep.
point. But then you got to think about it. What's the bigger picture? And I think that's why,
Yep.
we talk a lot about vision, having a vision. And that's why it's so important to have that vision because, and we have even the vision map, and that, because it's like when you're trying to get from point A to point B, like your GPS, you need point A and then you need a point B.
Yep.
And the only way you get started is by getting honest about where you are right now to get to point B. Because if you're trying to get, say, from like here to like right now we're in DC, if we want to go to New York, but if we punch in we're in Philadelphia, we're not going to get the right address to get there. So that's why I think it's so important, like for every man, to be honest about where he is, and then also seeing that larger picture with that vision. So definitely love that you said that you shared that. So I want to get more into it with you about this being a creative. What does that mean to you? And why is that important for men to understand about unleashing their creative side?
Man, that's such an important question, man. It's a deep question too. I don't know if I'm qualified per se to answer it, but I'll do the best that I can. I feel like human beings, we're creative beings.
Yes.
Whether you're religious or spiritual, there's this sort of universal aspect of who we are that's purely creative, from creating life and bringing life onto earth, to literally taking the ideas or the thoughts or images that we have in our mind and manifesting them in the physical reality, in the physical realm.
100%.
And so for me, I have an understanding of that, and I've had a deep understanding of my creative self since I was a young child. That was endowed in me by my mother. She was an artist, a writer, and she would always take us to the library. She would show me her drawings. She would show me her writings and encourage us to, my sister, my brother, and I, to express ourselves creatively. And so it's always just been this sort of natural desire and process for me growing up. And I've had some challenges along the way. There are periods of time where, I feel like I just can't connect with myself creatively, or I don't really know how to unlock this idea that I have, or I feel like I'm putting so much pressure on myself, I'm not able to be creatively free. But what I've found is, when you're in tune with yourself and you're not putting judgment on yourself as a creative being, you're just allowing yourself to freely create. You end up finding yourself in what I would call a flow. And so for me, it's all about finding and maintaining that creative flow. And then, of course, there are going to be projects that there is some pressure for you to complete, but that those are just discrete projects you need to complete, but you can still maintain that creative flow of who you are and what you want to create. And so creativity, I think every man at his core, every woman at her core, is creative. We all have some creative purpose here on earth, right? Whatever that may be. If you're a computer coder, you're a creator. If you're an engineer, you're a creator. If you're a teacher, you're a creator. If you're a mathematician, you're a creator. If you're a poet, you're a creator. Everything that we do is the result of that creative aspect of who we are as human beings.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think I love what Dr. Roby Mitchell says on Facebook. He talks about this patented term called intelligent design, and how everything is intelligent design in the universe and in the world. And I think that even goes hand in hand in what you're saying about we're all creators. And I never thought about being a creator in terms of like, hey, you know what? I was created. Like, mom and dad came together, made me. So that makes them creators, someone made you. And the reason why you're here is because someone came together and they created, and you were created, no matter what you believe. But at the end of the day, like, we're all creatives, and whether we're artists or whether we're engineers or IT or government, whatever we do, but we're creating something in terms of that. Now, I know the term creative really kind of gets a negative spin in the male masculine dominant world. It's almost as if like, if you are artsy, right? I put quotations around that, artsy. It's almost seen as if like it's always like a negative term of like being gay or being less masculine or being more feminine, right? How do we as men, how can we embrace that creativity, right? And still keep our masculinity?
Yeah, man, that's a profound question, man. One, I feel like, as a man, you've got to define your masculinity for yourself. I think we all have some collective definitions of what these things mean, and those are useful definitions. But at the same time, our reality is it's mostly subjective, right? Like you can only really see the world from your perspective. So I think for a lot of men, it's breaking out of that paradigm that being a creative means that you're less manly. Being a creative means that, you're not a heterosexual. Just dispelling those negative, in a sense, connotations, which some of those connotations aren't even necessarily negative, but they're just what men are perceiving to be negative. And just understanding that at your DNA level, at your core, right? You're a creator. You're creative, right? You literally can create with your body, right? Whether you accept it or not. And so I think the world has crafted a lot of definitions of things, and we're sort of given this cultural understanding of what something is. But I think we should just get back to the universal understanding of terminologies and recognize that at the end of the day, everything we do, right, by definition, is creative.
Yes, I love that she said that. I think it's really just breaking that mold of stereotypes against men, right? In terms that, like, hey, if you're heterosexual, if you're male, then you're not artsy. As they say, artsy fartsy, and I hate to use that term, but that's a term that I hear a lot. And if you are creative, or if you show more of an artistic side, right? It's like, oh, he might be, I forget what's the term they say, but he might be a little gay or a little strange,
or sweet or something like that.
Yeah, a little sweet, And it's, to me, it's just like, man, I love creating, whether it's a video or whether it's art or whether it's drawing. Now, I'm not the best artist. Don't ask me to draw you whatsoever. But at the same time, I love doing that because it's a form of expression. You know, I think every day when I journal, that's a form of creativity too. And I think even if you think about even this podcast is creative too, right?
Yeah,
what you do with your music is creative. Definitely. It's because it was an idea, it was a thought. Then we brought it into purpose, and then after that, now we have it here and we're sharing it with the world, and that's a form of creativity. And you've opened my mind to see that. So in terms of being a Black male yourself, and with the world, and you have the Black Lives Matter movement, you have a human rights movement, you have the LGBTQ movement too is going on, and we have the pandemic going on and everything going on. Does that inspire you to create more, or does that dim your light? Or how do you work through that?
Man, your questions be hard hitting, bro. So it's interesting, man, because I feel like I've gotten to a place in my own journey where the things that are happening outside don't necessarily affect my internal compass or my internal temperature around who I am and what I like to do. And so, we live in a world where every day, every month, every year, there's something going on, right? There's some problem, some challenge to overcome, some form of oppression that exists across so many different vectors of identity. And I think one can draw inspiration from those things. And there are people who do draw inspiration from those things. But I think there's also a world where, you are simply drawing inspiration from your own experiences and even connecting those things to what's going on, but not necessarily allowing those things to affect you. And so for me, I'd say, given everything that's happening, I can't say that it's necessarily dimmed my light, but it's just, for me, it's more that it has impressed upon me the importance of remaining faithful to my vision and remaining faithful to my purpose and remaining faithful to, my creative agency, and not allowing the world to dictate and define how I express myself, because I'm a music artist, I'm a writer, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a videographer. There's so many different forms of art that I partake in. But I love to, I don't like to feel like I have to fit into an agenda or fit into a movement to express myself. I want to be myself so that people can see and hear my unique voice and be inspired by that, whoever's inspired by that. And so, as all these things are taking place, I think these are important movements. And I think that there are plenty of people who are going to be inspired by them. But personally, I seek to express my genuine self in my unique self without being necessarily affected by the world outside me as much.
Dope. No, I love that you really you define for yourself who you're going to be. and you don't let the world define you. You don't live by
Definitely.
society's standard. That's one thing that we preach here at the 1% Man Group, is that, you know, you want to live by your standards. Set your standard first before you get out there, because the world's going to tell you how to be a man. But if you don't know who you are, you'll easily succumb.
You'll get
and
lost
be
out there. You'll get
100%.
lost out there. You'll start chasing after things and movements and belief systems that, you know, you don't even fully understand yourself. And I think it's important to know yourself first and know why you're here and what your journey is all about before you go out there, you know, and start absorbing what the world is trying to push on you.
I love that you said that. I want to touch a little more personal, you know, in the little time that we have remaining. Is right now, what's your biggest struggle as a man right now?
Man, my biggest struggle, man, shoot. I would say my biggest struggle is maintaining a sense of focus sometimes, you know, because I say that not because I'm not a focused person, but because I think we live in a world of endless and infinite distraction. You know, whether it's going on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, and there's just an endless stream of content. Whether it's like what we were talking about earlier, you get on some of these dating apps and it's just an endless stream of matches, and you know, you swipe on one beautiful woman and then there's another beautiful woman right around the corner. You know, so I think maintaining that focus and that integrity to your vision as a man is so important. And sometimes you've got to block out those things that are holding you back. And that's what I've been working on, man. I've been working on just finding that balance, you know, because it's not as if all these things are necessarily bad. Is that when there's no moderation, right? That's when it can take you down a very dangerous and destructive path.
Damn, I love that you said that. I think all men need to understand that, you know, we do have a lot of distractions in this world. There's a lot of things going on. And can you touch us a little bit more about what do you do? What do you put in place to help keep you focused throughout your day?
Man, I probably have like my notes app is literally my savior. Like every idea that I have, everything that I need to get done, I put into my Apple Notes app. You know, I have things organized, pinned, folders. That really helps me to maintain that focus and that organization. I also utilize the calendar big time. I found over the years that putting things on my calendar, being really good about following up and making sure that everything is just sort of lined up is really important. And then just making sure that your documents are organized too, especially as an entrepreneur. You know, I've got a Google Drive that's just really broken down into like every area of my business. You know, this is by date, this is the document or form that I created, et cetera. So for me, it's just creating systems of organization that keep me on track. I've always been a very unorganized type B kind of person with type A tendencies, but I had to figure out how to, you know, sort of push some of that type B stuff to the side and lean into that type A little bit more.
Okay. When you mean type B, type A, what does that mean? Like alpha or beta? That's what you mean?
No, so not necessarily the alpha beta side of things, but more of like type B being kind of all over the place, chill, not as like, you know, anal about things. And then type A is just like, you know, you're very focused, organized, meticulous. Everything has to be in one specific spot. You know, you're just very, very meticulous, I'd say, is type A. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that one. I like that. And I want to move forward. I know I would love to get back to that, but I want to move forward next. What are you working on right now? What are you creating?
Man, so many things, man.
Yes.
I'd say the number one thing I'm working on right now is my company, the Business Accelerator, which is a platform for Black and anti-racist entrepreneurs to help them create businesses that are profitable and impactful. And so for me as an entrepreneur, when I first jumped out into the world, I didn't have any mentorship. I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have direction. And so I found myself chasing after every rabbit, right? And as the saying goes, if you're chasing after two rabbits, you'll never catch either one of them. Yes, and I had to really figure out how to focus in on what I was meant to do and what my purpose was as an entrepreneur, as a creative individual. And for me, I found that, you know, my purpose is to help other people along their journey and becoming the best version of themselves and answering some of these tough questions as they embark on their journey of self-improvement, entrepreneurship, and creative agency. And so the Business Accelerator is an education platform that really teaches people the A to Z when it comes to starting a business, but more than that, becoming the best version of yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually. So I'll be launching a group soon, some courses, creating content, and I'm really excited about it. In addition to that, just working on some film scripts, writing a little novel on the side, you know what I'm saying? I got a little EP that I'm working on too, because I rap a little bit, just a little bit, you know, so I keep myself busy, man. I keep myself busy on that front.
Okay, got you. And so making time for all these things that you're doing, and being able to be a creative and being able to be in different creative spaces, I should say too, as well. You know, they always say focus on one thing. Yeah. Do you believe that? Or because you seem that you have so many different passions.
I used to, and I used to beat myself up about it because I used to think, oh man, like I used to listen to that and I'd be like, I can't get this done because I'm not able to focus. And then I realized that not everybody's the same. And the way that my mind works is I love the experience of sort of shifting between creative spaces and allowing that connection, those connections to flow into one another, right? So it's not even that I see these as discrete areas. I see it all as one big creative soup that I'm engaged in, right? That I'm swimming in, right? So when I'm thinking about my music, I'm like, how can I create music that's inspiring people to do the things that I'm teaching in my platform while creating videos that do the same thing while writing books that open people's minds to a different reality? You see what I'm saying? So for me, everything is deeply, deeply connected, but it took me a long time to get to a point where I could smoothly shift from one form of creativity to the other. And it's something now that's very natural to me throughout my day. I don't necessarily think about things in terms of, oh, I don't have time for this or I don't have time for that. It's more just I'm in a flow through my day, and there'll be some days where I'm going to flow into a freestyle, and that freestyle is going to emerge and become a song. There are going to be days where I'm really inspired to start writing, and that writing is going to become a book or a script. But I just allow things to happen. I have my to-do list and the things that I need to get done, but I also allow my creative spirit to just be itself, flow. You know, whatever you want to create, allow yourself to create it. Don't judge yourself. Don't force yourself into a box. That's how I like to think about things.
Oh, okay. I love that. And before we go, I got one more ask of you. So you have the mic. All the men in the world are listening.
Yeah.
And what would be the message you shared if all the men were listening?
Man, find your purpose. Find your purpose, your reason for being. You came to earth for a reason. You're not just here. You know, you're not just here to chase after money. You're not just here to chase after women. You're here to chase after the highest version of yourself. And to me, that is directly connected to your purpose as a man. And so for me, I encourage every man to be on their purpose and to seek that thing that's going to motivate and drive them to become the best version of themselves, become an infinite man.
Yo, mic drop right there. Christian, thank you so much for coming out, brother.
I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you for sharing. And I'm about to definitely have you back on. And man, definitely. You've heard it here first with Christian sharing. Take one thing that he said, apply it today in your life, and watch it change. And remember that your legacy starts today.
Man, preach, bro. That's it right there.
Thank you, my friend, for tuning into today's episode. This means so much to us over here at the 1% Man community. Now, we want to extend a hand of gratitude to you. So I have a free gift for you. All you have to do is go to www.the1percentman.com/podcast gift. This is an exclusive gift for listeners that tune into our podcast. So go over there, get that free gift as well. And now I have two simple acts of you.
One, hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment and a 5-star review, because that helps us to see what you love about the podcast, and that helps us to bolster up in the rankings so more people can find us and listen to this pertinent information that we have for men of today's age. Last but not least, I want you to go back and listen to this podcast. Find just one thing that you can implement in your life today so you can move forward. Remember, progress over perfection. And till next time, my friend, your legacy starts today.